It's a bountiful day in this hollow earth. A beautiful day for a hybrid. Do they shift shape? Boy, I feel great. Won't you be my cousin? Welcome, everybody, all around this holographic multiverse. All my creative cousins, all my workshop alumni, all my Girl Scouts, all the homies all around the globe. Welcome to the most important meal of the day, y'all. Shrimp for breakfast! Let's get a slurp of that dark, dank, black cup of coffee, y'all. Oh, and you know what's coming next, y'all? Them timeless, amazing, phenomenal, homegrown greens. That's how we starting the day. It's Friday. We made it through another week, y'all. I hope it was a productive one. I am here to hype you up, to inspire you, to give you some energy, hopefully get you thinking about pursuing that dream life, about envisioning who you want to be, where you want to be, what you want to be doing, and who you want to be doing it with, y'all, because this life is far too amazing to just stick within the template of the status quo, right? To just plug in and be used as a battery for other entities. Make sure that you are on this ride and have your hands firmly on the wheel in the driver's seat, and you are doing whatever you can to control it, right? Get those paddles out, because we going down the stream, y'all. We going with the flow, but we taking little side tributaries. We're taking little secret passageways. We're getting out. We're walking around. We're exploring. We're not afraid to get lost, to find that new territory, to make amazing discoveries and breakthroughs, right? And that's just what I've been doing out here. Woo-wee! Turned in my new poster yesterday to Of the Trees, and they love it. We got the diptych in the bag. Now we're talking about maybe doing an appearance over there. We'll see if I can make it to Red Rocks. Right now it seems like a very long shot. I super want to go. We were thinking about it when we first started doing the first poster we did, like, man, I think before the Grammys, like in the beginning of the year. And then this second poster, we just finished. We were starting to talk about taking the fam out for a recreational vacation and then hitting these shows on the weekend, but as you all know, September kind of came out of nowhere and was like, fuck you. It kind of like fucked our shit up. So a recreational trip right now isn't going to happen. But if we can work out some kind of business type of appearance, maybe your boy will be hosting the show. Maybe your boy will be out there hyping up the crowd. Maybe your boy will be out there meet and greeting and signing posters with fans. We shall see what the fates have in store for us, right? Feeling really good. Absolutely took this poster into a direction where I did not think it was going to go, riffing off of the first one. I knew I was going to complete the story, but boy, we took it in a wild direction. It's one of my favorite pieces I've done in a long time. Can't wait to share it with y'all. I mean, almost everything I do is my favorite. That's the great thing about loving what you do and about listening to the work and about letting it tell you when it's done and letting it tell you what it wants. When you become a great listener, you become a great artist. When you become just like when you become a great listener to nature, you start to really understand what life is about. And when you start to really listen to the piece, you start to really understand what the art gods have in mind, right? All right, Athena is at the Stowe. What is it called? The Fall Foliage Festival. It's a arts and crafts festival over in Stowe. If anybody's up here in Vermont, make sure to go check out the Stowe Arts and Crafts Festival. It is going on all weekend, and Athena has a booth set up. She did a show last year in Burlington. This is like the big show of the area. I think the entrance fee was even like $800, so it costs a lot to get in there and get set up. So this is a huge leap in Athena's dream life, in Athena's dream goals to, she's been working all year on this show. Stowe is like, if you don't know about Stowe, Vermont, it's one of those quintessential tourist, it's beautiful for fall foliage, very popular for skiing, very popular for tourism in the summer. Skiing is definitely its claim to fame because we got Mount Mansfield up there. We got Smuggler's Notch. We got beautiful. I mean, everything in northern Vermont is just unbelievably beautiful. So be sure to check out Mrs. Shrimp, aka Athena Bandit, over there at her festival, at her fall foliage festival, at her craft and art and craft fair in Stowe. Be sure to check it out. And as you're starting to think of gifts for these holiday seasons, we're getting into these holidays, y'all. Athena, I think it's Athena Bandit jewelry.com, something like that. I share her stuff a lot. I'm sure you can find it, Athena Bandit Jewelry, Googling that. Give her a little boost, give her an order, get some jewelry for a loved one. This is handcrafted artisan jewelry made right here in the Ghostshrimp National Forest, across the brook and through the woods. To Athena's metalsmithing studio we go. We'll have to do a little tour of her studio sometime. Give y'all a sneak peek into what she's doing, because she's really doing such incredible stuff. She's really still in the first phase of her journey of putting in the work to be a professional level metalsmith, silversmith. Oh yeah, y'all. Mom Duke's coming up. Mama Shrimp, Grandma Shrimp coming up to visit today. She'll be here around lunchtime. If we're able to get a pod in this weekend, we're going to get my mom on it, which will be amazing. We'll see. I'm like, we're getting the pod back. And then this is like literally the most chaotic 2 weeks. It was like the most crazy, chaotic month before this. And then this is like, oh my God, finishing this poster and then getting Athena's show going on. She's been going flat out all day, every day, preparing for this thing, getting ready to present, getting her booth stuff ready, getting all set up, setting up her booth in the house, making sure it's all gonna work. Oh my gosh, crazy. It's a wacky adventure living your dream life. It's not for the faint of heart. There's ups, there's downs, there's trials and tribulations. There's challenges where you really question yourself and why you're doing what you're doing, right? I have had that every step of the way, right? Those challenges don't stop. Just your strength and your power and your understanding of why you're doing those challenges gets bigger and bigger. So sometimes the challenges get bigger too. That's the nature of life. You gotta fucking just buckle up and go. Like I was telling Athena the other day, I feel like I'm just like, right now I'm just buckled in and I'm just going, just like trying to just stay focused on what I know I can control, what I know I'm supposed to do. And there's like a raging crazy storm outside and I'm just I don't know if I'm riding in a buggy or if I'm flying in a plane or if I'm underwater in a submarine. Who knows? But we are doing it. We're going somewhere. And now I have the confidence of 21 years of experience of going like, man, I started from literally scratch, literally nothing, and built it up all the way here. So no matter what I'm going to go through now, I know I can do it, right? And knowing that, right? If I did this, you could do it too. That's the cool thing about it, right? Woo! All right, here we go. Let's get a sip of this. Look at what else we got here. The Sneak Bunny is back. The Terminator, right? I showed y'all this sick Sneak water bottle that they sent me, Sneak Energy from the UK, this awesome energy drink. Check it out if you love energy drinks. Not that I need any. This is just water. I'm just using this awesome Terminator 2 40th anniversary tumbler. And then also don't forget to pick up some Cycling Frog gummies, y'all. And while we're at it, go ahead and get a copy of The Lost Forest, y'all. Oh shit, the best coloring book in the world. We are working on the second one right freaking now, and let me tell you, it is going to be off the chain, because this one was like a leap out, a leap into the unknown, a new project, a new format, fully drawn digital. First thing that I've seen in physical form that I had drawn fully digital, so it was a bit of a whoa, right, going out there. Now we've got this under the belt, chook, and now we are coming for that ass. We coming for those heads in the coloring book game, y'all. About to be the king of the coloring book game. You know no one's putting out coloring books like your boy, you know what I'm saying? Now, we got a nice little question yesterday. We've been asking for questions. Some people have been questions, comments, give us feedback, give me something to riff off of, y'all, because otherwise I just end up going and going. Y'all know I can talk forever, but sometimes it gets a little repetitive. So hit me with your questions. Let's make this a conversation. It's evolving. All right, so we got on the gram at ARRRBP, Arb asks, how did your skills and / or talents come about? How do you own all this awesomeness, right? Great question. And very similar to what we're just talking about, right? Building up from scratch. Where did my skills and talents come from? You know, those are skills I like because you build them up. Talent is an intangible. Talent is, what does talent even mean? Talent basically means that you are a kind of a natural at something and you enjoy doing it, so you just kind of do it without thinking, right? And maybe you are ahead of other people that you are around in that area, right? And talent is a tricky term that, you know, I've always said that I'm not a person with talent. You know, if I do have a talent, it's just that I'm if I have a talent, it's probably to be loud and energetic, right? That's probably my talent, which gave me nothing but grief growing up, as my mom will attest. You know, I don't get her to talk about it. And I loved drawing, but every kid loved drawing, right? And every kid that I grew up with drew. You know, I think especially in the, you know, back in the 1980s, like the 1900s, you know, we didn't have screens everywhere. We didn't have the internet. You know, we had a TV in the basement. We did not have cable till I was 12. So we had just network TV, click, 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 like 10 channels, 5 channels. I don't even know, a few channels with anything good on it. You turned on what was on. You watched it when it was on. You ended up, you know, my parents would, you know, give us like an hour or so of TV a day. So most of the time we were out in the woods, running around, exploring. We were being rowdy, building forts, riding bikes, climbing trees, and we were drawing, right? Everybody drew. And, you know, I hope all kids still draw. I don't know. I take that for granted. I don't know if they do. My kids certainly draw a lot. Juniper's downstairs drawing right now. She just woke up. Wolfie, the kids are off school today. It's a long weekend for some reason. Wolfie has been drawing again recently. He kind of goes off and on. He's been doing some sick, really in-depth drawing. He just learned perspective drawing at middle school, and now he's really jazzed on applying that to his creative drawing. So he's been doing that. He drew a really cool Finn drawing of like Finn jumping out of a Jake plane, which I gotta post this shit. It's dope. So he's been doing that. And, you know, I was like that. I was just drawing. And, you know, as the grades progressed, you know, Wolfie's in 7th grade now. Junie's in 3rd grade now. I remember like, you know, sixth grade, I feel like maybe less people were drawing, and maybe I was kind of starting to be identified as someone who was artistic and creative because I was still doing it. The stuff I wasn't doing wasn't mind blowing. We were talking about Mad Magazine and stuff. I was basically, at that point, I think I was still basically copying like Don Martin drawings. And you know, my older brother Dorian loved Mad Magazine, and he had like those indie comics, like my Uncle Steve's comics around Dog Boy. He had the Fabulous Freak Brothers. We had a treasure trove of Marvel comics, DC comics. I was watching cartoons. I was drawing that stuff. You know, I was being inspired by that stuff, kind of just in the copying phase of my career. You know, I mean, not career. It's definitely not a career yet. In the copying phase of my practice, right, of my process. Everybody starts by mimicking what they see. You know, that's how we learn. That's how we talk. That's how we walk. That's how we do absolutely everything we do. That's how we learn facial recognition and expressions, right? And then we moved, and, you know, I kept drawing, and, you know, I think it does start as you are the person that's identified with that. It does start to imprint and become sort of your part of your identity more. And I always tell Wolfie, like, man, like, he's athletic. He's an athlete, which I never was. You know, I played sports, but I sucked. But he's a good athlete. And I'm like, man, you know, that's great. If you are an athlete and you are, you know, and you're also, you know, someone who is creative and drawing, people are really going to look at you. And there's a lot of reasons to, there's a lot of, not like you're just trying to make people like you, but when you're at that age, you definitely kind of do. I remember how much, especially moving, you want people to kind of recognize you, and you're striving to like be independent, right? You're starting to, at that age, 13, trying to kind of you know, show people who you are and stand out to girls, to other friends and stuff like that, right? Separate yourself from the pack a bit. Starts to become that peacocking thing. And art was kind of the only thing that I could do that with, other than just being a loud, wacky, crazy kid who was getting kicked out of class. That was my other claim to fame, right? Which was, you know, which is funny to your classmates. They're laughing. You're the class clown. You're doing that. But it's a blessing and a curse, because you also feel really bad about it. You get kicked out, and part of you knows you're about to get yelled at by the principal. You're about to get spoken to by your parents. You're about to have negative repercussions for this stuff. So that's a mixed bag. The art stuff was the one thing that people were like, wow, this is really cool. So that was the one thing I think that allowed me to get positive feedback from people and praise, and started to kind of hang my hat on that, so to speak. And it wasn't about that, but it was something that I loved to do naturally and was interested in, and just enjoyed doing. I remember my older brother would like to make fantasy maps, and I would sit in the basement with him, and he would draw fictitious maps, because he was into like Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. And he would make up worlds, and he would draw like all these comics too. He did the same thing where he would draw these kind of like Don Martin-esque comics, and we would put them in manila folders and make little comic books out of them and stuff. And he was 11 years older than me, so he was quite a bit older. He was like already full blown, you know, by the time I was like aware of the world, he was already like a full blown teenager, and you know, every year he grew up a lot more, and was out of the house by the time I was, you know, 7 or so. You know, by the time I was already Junie's age, he was already gone. So, but he was, you know, a great influence on me in that he would spend time drawing, and I really looked up to him. And he was in that art world. He was a musician. He would have his band over. They would be playing music, and I remember I would like hang out and color and draw, and I wanted to be around them, of course, even though they were, you know, probably doing some adult things that I shouldn't be exposed to. And so that's really the foundation, you know. And then as we move and I get deeper into it, and you know, kids were still drawing, like, you know, my best friend Luke Dubois, who I'm still friends with, shout out Daddy Ball Scout, shout out Bill, God, I got it, Biloba Creative, I think, at Biloba Creative on Instagram. That he was kind of my partner in creativity growing up. You know, we met in middle school, and we would just draw a lot. And our mutual friend Chris Gowell, who we met through, We would draw a lot. We both had basement setups, and we would, we cleaned out our basements and set up our basements as hangouts, and we would just hang out. We would draw. We would watch Ninja Scroll after school, and we would have sleepovers, and we would be reading Spawn comics, and we had Spawn toys, and we would just be drawing and listening to hip hop and looking at XL magazine and The Source, and just this whole riding the cartoons and animation and toys, and then the 90s hip hop explosion. I was just thinking about what a special time that was, and what a product you are of your environment. As we were talking about yesterday with the toy thing, about some people can look at this as commercial stuff and brainwashing and capitalism at its worst and all this bullshit, but and propaganda, but like, man, that led to pure idealistic art creation for me, right? That all inspired me to be completely, without that stuff, I would, maybe I could have been inspired by other stuff, but like, boy, that stuff is just in my DNA, and it didn't make me want to do that stuff, but it made me want to do my own stuff. It made me want to express my own stuff. Like all the stuff we were talking about in the last episode about cartoons and toys. Comics were right alongside that, getting my older brother's Mad magazines, getting my getting his Marvel comics, and then all the stuff, the X-Men show that was coming out, the X-Men comics that were coming out at that time, the toys that were coming out at that time, Ninja Scroll, all this stuff going on, hip hop culture crashing in, and I'm kind of like a mashup of all of that, right? Like, I almost identify more as obviously I'm not a rapper or a hip hop artist, but like, I feel like they were the ones that really told me that I could create, I could be an artist, I could be an independent artist, and I could do whatever the fuck I wanted if I just fucking decided I was gonna do that. Hip hop told me that, so that was a big thing. And then as I progressed in high school, really leaning more into that, me and Luke got more and more into drawing together, and I hated everything about school except art class, and Mrs. Belinsky and Mr. Lawrence were two of the three people, along with the resource room, the recharge room teacher, Miss Stoddard. Without those three people, I always say it, I'm not joking, and my parents as two more, because they were always in there advocating for me. God bless my parents. I remember endless meetings where they're making, they're building up an individual education plan with me for the school, and as much as I don't like some of the choices that they made with the pills and the different things like that, the medication, they were there advocating for me. Even though I didn't want to be there, they were trying their best to make it work for me, right? So God bless them. I hated nearly every minute of it, and like I said, it almost destroyed me. But without those people, I would have just walked out of there. I actually wouldn't have let it destroy me. When it got to that point, I would have walked out, and I never would have gone back, no matter what the consequences were, right? And that would have been a different trajectory. That would have been a different path. But me and Luke got more and more into it. We started to hang out. He was working at this coffee shop in town with all these college girls, and we would go hang out in their dorm room. It was like 5 minutes from my house, because we lived, my mom's house is in downtown Durham, New Hampshire. It's just right off the main area there, on this little suburban street, and you can walk right to town, and there's the big University of New Hampshire's there. And so we would hang out in the Knicks Bricks dorms, like so many afternoons, just sitting there, smoking weed, drawing, hanging with these college girls. It was like absolutely amazing. And again, it's like, I think they let us do that because we're drawing, right? If we were just dumb high school kids, we were just sitting there doing nothing, watching TV, it's like whatever. But it was cool because we're sitting there drawing, and that was the vibe, That was just like, it was really, really cool. It was really, really fun. And so, having a partner in creativity with Luc Dubois was very important, because that allowed me to spend more and more time drawing. My homie Tyler Price as well, also a great visual artist, a great ceramics artist. My man, Old Girl Sojourner, that's his rap name. His rap name was Chameleon at that time, and they were, our whole clique, our whole group was very creative. Even the people that weren't creative, like my man Grand Zazula, aka MC Malignant, he did not he wasn't creative, and then just by peer pressure and hang out with us, he became a rapper, right? He just started writing raps, and our other friend, John Baker, was producing and making beats, and then everybody, Tucker, Jacob Hamby, aka Jacob Witzling, who is now almost 1 million followers on the gram. If you don't know him, doing Cabin Land, and his girlfriend Sarah Underwood, out there doing amazing things. She's obviously a famous influencer. He's very quickly become a famous influencer on Instagram for his amazing creative lifestyle, building crazy cabins up there in the Pacific Northwest. So I was, I would go to, there was a whole era where after that in high school, I would work at the dollar store at Zyla's in town. And then I would go over to Jacob Hamby's house. His parents were like gone in Europe. His mom was like gone in Europe. His parents were divorced. His dad lived in Boston. His mom was like gone in Europe or something for a year. And his older brother was like a lot older, and he was in charge of the house. Ben Hamby, shout out, another homie. He was, well, I guess he was just a couple years ahead of us in high school, but and then Ethan Hamby, the younger brother, a very creative family, very cool family. And I would, after getting out of work, I would fill just an entire bag like this of candy from the dollar store and treats and snacks and stuff, and then go walk through the woods to their house, and we would just sit there and smoke weed and listen to hip hop and eat candy and draw. And then there's other whole era of Grant living at John Baker's house that we drove to. It was further out in the sticks, and we would go there, and he had a setup. We're making beats, and there would just be a whole crew hanging out, freestyling, drawing, doing creative shit. So trying to find your creative peers wherever they are, whether they're in real life, whether they're online, whatever, and being able to share time with them, share work with them, share inspiration with them. That was super critical. That was super crucial. And that was still a time with a lot of adversity, a lot of struggle, a lot of being at odds and fighting and being angry at everything. And then once I was able to get out of that paradigm, once I was able to get to, of course, the foot breaking stuff happens in here, mostly kind of to precipitate all of this, mostly right before. It's like, I was hanging with Luke and stuff, but most of this stuff comes afterwards. And then, getting to Pratt, which is the whole real thing where I recognize that, okay, I am going to be a professional visual artist, and I'm going to dedicate 95% of my thought process, 95% of my energy, 95% of my waking hours to creating my art, creating my artistic lifestyle, creating my artistic persona, creating my own reality against all odds, against all. I stopped watching sports, which is, I absolutely, as y'all know, I love UFC, love Celtics. They've become a huge part of my life again. But, at that time, going through high school, baseball, basketball, football, that was life. Collecting cards, trading cards, playing sports every freaking day. We were also out there playing basketball. As a kid, you're doing a million things. I'm talking about a billion things at once, but we're going down to the courts, we're shooting baskets, we're playing hoops, we're going to the Catholic Student Center when it's raining to play basketball. We are just, we're riding our bikes around. Fuck, the shrimp always takes a dip, y'all, right around this time of the thing. So fuck, once we get to Pratt, then it's game on, right? Up until then, it's very just, I'm having fun. I'm pursuing my expression. I'm really listening to what the art gods are telling me, and I'm listening to what art is telling me to do, and I'm listening to what hip hop is telling me to do, pretty much, I am completely rejecting now, firmly rejecting mainstream reality, firmly rejecting the status quo, being an active adversary of the status quo, taking great pride in breaking it down everywhere I can, breaking down my teachers, very conflicted with my relationship with my parents at this time. It's very much love-hate, literally hating my parents and literally loving my parents at the same time. Unconditional love, but so much hate especially for my dad, because he would get more angry. My mom was always very empathetic. And even when she was, forcing me into things that I knew weren't right, I knew that she was conflicted about it. My dad had this different attitude where he felt like he was right. He knew what was right. And he was like a hammer banging me. And I was the nail. He was just, bam, you're going to get it. Bam, you're going to get it. And not in like my dad's not like a physical guy, but just like a will, like his will of just like, you're going to do this and this is what you're going to do or else, he was a big like or else guy, and this is our house and you're going to obey our rules and this is that and this is that, and he would get very tense and stressed and anxious about it. And it felt very serious. And truly he would reinforce this idea of permanent record and you're messing up and this and this and that, where that's just bullshit. That's just bullshit. None of the shit, all of the shit. I should have done more mayhem back in the day, if anything, not less. I mean, those were the only good things I was doing, was out there fucking up, because at least it was me expressing myself, you know what I'm saying? And I desperately wanted people to listen, but nobody knew how to listen to me. Nobody wanted to do. But what that added up to, though, was the great chip on my shoulder that I think every paradigm shifting artist, every great artist needs, right? Like every artist that's going to have a different kind of career, every artist that wants to be different has got to sort of be, I think, born into that position in a certain way. I don't think you're going to be someone that fits in and things come easy to, and then all of a sudden you're just going to, decide to make things much harder for yourself and decide to create all this adversity and decide to create all these challenges for yourself, right? I was born like this, right? And I think if you look at the story of the people that stand out and the people that change the game and the people that walk a distinctly unique path like I have, I'm an outlier as a professional artist, and I'm an outlier among outliers, as that my career and my personality and my choices don't reflect what almost all 99% of other artists out there would look like, right? I'm an outlier even amongst outliers, right? Even the way I talk, the way I speak, my whole attitude is, you put all these artists in a room, I'm going to be a lot different than most of them. I know, because we packed the workshop with them. We packed the woods with them. I know, most of the best commercial artists in the world I'm friends with, and I know. And most of them are very different. Most of them are much more similar to each other than I would be to them, right? We have similar sensibilities, similar appreciations, but my attitude, my energy, the moves I'm making, my recklessness, my ability, my need to take leaps and take chances. Most artists are much more reserved, much more timid, much more anxious, much more second guessing, much more self-doubting. That seems to be a big part of what makes people creative, is self-doubt, that dialectic within themselves, so that's interesting. But where did my skills and talents come from? We can pick this up on Monday, talking about the next step of starting to implement it on purpose at a professional level, because that's a whole nother thing, and that's a whole nother level of sacrifice. As we talk about sacrificing my sports fandom for a decade, sacrificing relationships with people, putting friendships on the back burner, putting, my girlfriend, second to work, my girlfriends, people that are in my life. Really, for the first time, it used to, in high school, it was half and half. It was like, I'm hanging out, but I'm drawing when I'm hanging out. Now, once I get to Pratt, I'm hanging out, I'm partying. Y'all know Ghostshrimp loves to party. Y'all know Ghostshrimp turns up and gets crazy. And I have most of my craziest partying is definitely behind me, but I have a good 20-year, my 20-year art career is paralleled by a 30-year fucking partying career. Setting so much aside and really becoming my work. And that is where the skill level really takes over. So if I had any kind of talent, it was just being born different. It was being stubborn enough to resist, being stubborn enough and strong-willed enough to not be broken, right? I'm a wild animal that refuses to be broken, as I've watched almost everybody around me be broken by mainstream reality, by self-doubt, right? By the pressures of their peers, by really the or else of consensus reality, right? Me and Luke were tripping back in the day, and we had this epiphany of most people's lives are simply driven forward by the or else, which is just a blank statement from the mainstream reality, which, as we know now, is a very carefully marketed, branded, ideology put there by the people that are in charge, by the Rockefellers and by the people before them and by the people before them and by the Romans and everybody, right? Of if you don't conform, you will be destroyed. Period. Right? And we had this epiphany early on, and that really stuck with me. And I really have applied that and gone, that is a bluff. And if I simply go, or else what? Come and get me, motherfuckers. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want until you come and stop me. And guess what? Nobody's come stop me yet. I'm fucking still out here. I'm fucking still doing this without compromise, really much too idealistically. I'm actually amazed because I'm starting to hit that midlife. I'm probably past midlife, but I'm in that 40s realm. I'm 44, right? Starting to really get this other perspective, and looking back, I'm actually amazed that I haven't been destroyed. I'm amazed that I haven't been stopped. And again, that gives me even more confidence going forward. And that's the confidence that I want to share with y'all, right? I am here. I don't need to be here. This is what gonna get maybe these are like getting 50 views right now. It's like a joke. I don't care. I'm here honoring the art gods, singing the praises of the art gods, and connecting with, I'm sending my energy out, broadcasting it all over the world to anybody and everybody and nobody that might want to hear it, right? I am praying, I am doing my duty of giving back to tell you the secret, that there is no secret. All you have to do is just look within yourself, find out who you really want to be, find out what you really want to do, find out where you really want to be, find out who you really want to be around, what that looks like, smells like, tastes like, feels like, and keep going to that like a moth to a flame that is not afraid of anything, and you will get there. Right? You will find a way, right? There's this idea that if you put your back up against the wall and you don't give yourself a way out, you really will unlock all of your ingenuity, all of your creativity, all of your power, all of your self-preservation that has got the human species all this way against all odds, against unimaginable setbacks. Humans can thrive and survive in any place on this planet, almost unlike any other species, right? We are incredibly unique. We are incredibly powerful. And most people barely scrape the surface. They are living in reality 101. They have kept themselves stuck like a lead brick on the bottom of the ocean, where everything else is above them if they just allow themselves the freedom to flow and float and get on that beam of energy, that beam of creativity, be part of the creative brainstorm that is the fucking ever expanding universe. Once you can just let go of everything, the fear, the anxiety, everything, and just go, I give myself over to the art gods, over to the universe, and I am going to put my energy into that bucket, you will literally achieve whatever you want to achieve, right? I could not believe the things I've achieved in my life. It is absolutely insane. Nobody thought I was going to do this, y'all. I'm not fucking joking. People think I'm joking. I'm not joking, right? If I can do this, you can do this, right? Make the plan, get the vision, make the plan, and fucking do it, Set out, just scrape everything else out of your plans and just go, this is what I'm doing, and nothing else happens until my work is done, until my creative work is done, this is the formula. Early to bed, early to rise, work like, Early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. And I'll put one more in there. Exercise, right? Those are the ingredients to be happy, to be healthy, to achieve your goals and dreams. If you can be consistent and you can wake up and do that, even 4 out of 7 days to start, you're gonna really see growth. And then you make it 5 out of 7 days. And if you're in the beginning of your career, you should make it 6 out of 7 days, right? And if you can do that, you will see the universe turn around and look upon you with such wonder and warmth, and doors will open and opportunities will arise, and all that work you're doing will be recognized, right? I freaking have lived it. I'm not talking about hypotheticals. I'm talking about the path that I have walked and fallen down and gotten up and fallen down and gotten up and said, I don't care if I fail. I'm not going to stop doing this. And once you've done that, click, you are unstoppable, right? There you go. A little shrimp for breakfast, y'all. A little tasty, fucking juicy, fucking meaty, fucking beef stew for breakfast, y'all. Let's fucking go!